Greetings, folks, and welcome to today's show. Our guest today is Dr. Shari Zimmerman, who is recently appointed the Director of Career Technical Education at Tullahoma High. I think most of us normally think of Tullahoma High as being primarily to prepare our kids for college, but there is a technical program, I guess way back probably used to be called SHOP or something like that, to prepare youngsters to go directly into the workforce. And we don't hear very much about it, so part of our purpose today is to change that and inform you a little bit. So Dr. Zimmerman, thanks very much for taking time to join us. And before we get into what you're doing now, how about giving the folks a summary of your background?
Very glad to be here this morning with you. Thank you for giving me the chance. I have been a teacher, an elementary principal, and an assistant superintendent in the state of California. Did that for about 17 years. And then in Oklahoma, I was an elementary principal and middle school assistant principal. And then in 2014, when my husband took a job here at Arnold Air Force Base, we moved out here. And the opening that was available in July of that year was a Spanish job, which I am credentialed to teach. So I started teaching Spanish at Tullahoma High School.
How did that happen?
I'm credentialed in multiple areas, and that's what was available. So I was very, very happy to be able to become part of that staff. And then I've kind of helped out with administrative duties over the 4 years that I've been a teacher there, doing summer school and what I can. So when the CTE position came available, I applied, and they were kind enough to hire me as an administrator. Yeah. So it's school administration is not new to me, but the career technical end of it is new. So I'm still learning. I have great support from my core Administrator Pam Thurman, who is out of the Shelbyville office, and then a great staff. And then Travis Moore was there as the CTE director before, and he's still with us at the middle schools doing the assistant principal. So I, call him, hey, Travis.
You can lean on him if you need to.
I do often. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Is that it? All right. Well, that, folks, let's take a short commercial break, and we'll come back and find out about CTE.
Ah, the glory days. Running to daylight on the gridiron and chasing a ball with a mind of its own. Cheering the team to victory and marching to the beat of your own drum. Memories that last a lifetime. But sometimes we're reminded of our glory days in ways we'd rather forget. Get back in the game. The rehab team at Life Care Center of Tullahoma is ready to help you live and play well.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
We're back, folks. We're talking today with Dr. Shari Zimmerman, who is the newly appointed Director of Career Technical Education, CTE for short, at Tullahoma High. So, Dr. Zimmerman, tell the folks what is the CTE all about? What's your purpose, really?
At Tullahoma High School, to graduate, you need 26 credits, and 3 of those credits need to be in some kind of a consistent program that that builds. So in the Career Technical Education program, that means you would take Welding 1, Welding 2, Welding 3. You might take Intro to Business, Business Management. So our goal is for every student
You would
to have,
take one in one subject, three.
exactly. You choose
credits.
a subject and stick with it. Now students also can concentrate on band or on ROTC and those other programs. But for our career tech programs, we have, for example, our newest program is coding. So you could take 3 semesters of computer coding. You could take several years of business or management courses or marketing. You could take cosmetology. We have a great architectural engineering drafting program.
Design, drafting, yeah.
Machining, we send a lot of folks out into the workforce through our machining program.
Yeah.
Our newest program is criminal justice, and we have several students who were employed directly out of that program last year. So they graduated from high school and went straight into some correctional positions in Coffee County.
Like what?
I believe that they are
Policemen.
Yes, I'm not sure where they went, but
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you've mentioned several of the programs. Talk a little bit. It was interesting mention, and one that we probably don't think about, that there is a need, which I think you're trying to fill, for having the students understand what it means to go into the workplace, what their habits have got to be, and things like that. Talk a little about that.
absolutely. When I talk to personnel directors or plant managers in the area, one of the first things they say to me is that we have open positions, but we need employees who will not only fill the job skills, but also know to show up, to be able to come every day, be on time, go through all of the background screening and everything that they need. So we try to build that into our programs too. Actually, we try to build that into everything we do at the high school. And we emphasize being a good citizen and learning how to be a good member of the community. But particularly in CTE, we emphasize those skills. One way we do that is the culminating part of most of our programs is a practicum or an internship or a work-based learning program where they actually go out into the community and work, and so they're reporting not only to their employer, but they're reporting back to their work-based learning teacher or to their, we have a graphics arts program that's sending interns out into the community this semester to work with some of the city offices and county offices to do graphics and computer presentations for them. So we try to, in their senior year, senior year, we try to bridge that gap where we're teaching them how to go out and work, and they're still reporting back to their teacher so their teacher can say, okay, so how did that go? And we can do some troubleshooting and some problem solving early in their work history.
Yeah. And I guess most of us might be surprised how many kids might not really appreciate what it means to have a job out there that is specific and has specific needs and requirements, and you've got to step up and do those. Well, how many? Do you have quite a number of students that are in these programs that are included in working in industry and business?
We do. We have 11 different programs, and in each of those programs, it depends on the capacity of the program, but in each of those programs we have around probably 50 students in each one. We have 1,000 students in the building, so we have a good proportion of students in the CTE program.
That's interesting. Okay.
As I said, some students will. You can also have a concentrator in advanced placement or dual credit. So we have a lot of students who, instead of doing the CTE program for their concentrator, their 3 courses, that are in a series,
right,
they take advanced placement courses through Motlow or dual credit courses between Motlow and the high school.
Yeah, that's where they get credit both at Motlow
right,
and in the high school.
Right, or they're very involved in the fine arts programs, which is not part of CTE, but that's also another way to fulfill that concentrator.
Yeah. So, and in doing that, if they decide later on they want to go to the community college, they've already got a few credits for starters.
Absolutely.
Can shorten it up. Okay. So you got 11 programs, and you have 11 teachers. Talk a little bit about that. How do you work with them? What's the difference between you and them?
Last week, I believe it was last week or the week before, Congress and the President approved the Perkins budget for career technical education.
Perkins?
So, Perkins, P-E-R-K-I-N-S. And that's been a pot of money, a fund that comes from the federal government. That was a renewal. That's not a new program. Perkins has been around for a long time, but Congress and the President signed off on that last week to renew that. So Perkins funds are dedicated strictly for career technical education. So my role is largely to make sure that we have we fulfilled all the requirements that come with the money. So we have goals that we have to set and data that we keep maintained to make sure that we've met those goals for career technical programs. So teachers go out and they're the ones on the front lines teaching every day. They know their subject, they've been in the industry in their area, and my job is to interact with them also as teachers. I'm their supervisor as an administrator, but also to make sure that everything's moving along smoothly for our Perkins grants and other money that we're required to maintain records on for the state.
Does that include possibly additional training for the teachers?
Absolutely, yes. The state of Tennessee does a lot of training for CTE. They run a week-long training program in the summer and also in the fall. And so teachers can go and get refresher courses on their particular area of interest or in good teaching skills. So there's a lot of training, and a lot of that is provided through the Perkins money.
Okay. All right, so they're constantly in need of updating as well, and I can see that the changes going on in the workplace, primarily driven by technology. I think most of us are probably unaware how extensive that is, how much change is going on out there, and how in the world do you keep track of it and try to prepare to deal with it for your students to deal with it.
It is constant, you're right. Our computer teacher, Angela Pendergraph, for example, spent a good part of her summer getting certified to teach coding. Computer coding, and so she's now certified she'll be able in the future to be able to create an advanced placement class in which they can get early college credit for coding. So that's kind of a vanguard into new areas of technology, new areas of technical education that we haven't had before. But it took her a lot of hours this summer to get certified, for sure.
Okay, and so are your students, are they allowed to go into those areas on an ongoing new basis? Do they constantly being upgraded in what they're being taught to do out there?
As far as what goes on in the daily work in the classroom? Yes. I mean, our teachers are always trying to be community leaders in the field that they're in. So our cosmetology teacher is out working with local beauty schools to create competitions, and they provide a lot of scholarship money for our students. So there's that connection between the businesses who need cosmetologists and the schools, and then our school. They work together to put together competitions, to create opportunities for stipends or for awards.
Yeah.
So she's always on the front line of those kinds of things too. Even though that's not technological, it's still something that in popular culture is always evolving, and she's always right there.
Well, there's an ongoing need there. Okay, well that, folks, let's take a short commercial break and we'll come back and go some more.
Russell Barnett Hometown Auto Rental has proudly served your auto rental for over 30 years. Check out this huge selection to choose from. Small car, mid-size car, full-size car, crossover vehicle, SUV, minivan, pickup trucks, 12 and 15 passenger vans. Whether big or small, Russell Barnett Hometown Auto Rental has them all. Stop by our 2 locations to serve you, Tullahoma and in Winchester. And remember, my question is, why rent anywhere else?
It's time for every family and business in Tullahoma to go green and recycle. Tullahoma Public Works makes it simple and easy to recycle. Just place your recyclable materials, paper, plastic, aluminum, and cardboard beside your garbage container on the same day your garbage is picked up. Your recycled materials don't have to be in a fancy container. Recycling is not only the right thing to do, it makes sense. Recycling pays. Paying to bury our garbage costs each of us. Please do your part. Let's go green, Tullahoma, and recycle.
When your family suffers the loss of a loved one, the caring and compassionate staff at Tullahoma Funeral Home and Coffee County Funeral Chapel are standing by to assist you in every way possible. We are proud to support local industry and offer only Batesville caskets. Many funeral homes don't own or operate a crematory. We utilize the only crematory in Coffee County. Your loved one never leaves Coffee County. We can accommodate any need and any budget. Consider our complete pre-need service to remove this burden from your family during their time of grief. Lock in today's low costs and protect from inflation. Tullahoma Funeral Home and Coffee County Funeral Chapel. Our family caring for your family.
Our guest today, folks, is Dr. Shari Zimmerman, who is the newly appointed Director of Career Technical Education excuse me, at Tullahoma High. We've been talking about what's presently going on, what the fields are that she is covering, and working to prepare the students for, if you will, workforce readiness. So let's talk about a couple more aspects of what you're up to. It's been mentioned that one thing that you in particular are going to be devoting some energy to, and that is researching the needs out there, the future needs, trying to stay a jump ahead so that you can alter your training to meet what's coming up. So talk a little about that.
One of the biggest ways that we find we try to gauge trends, future trends, or community needs is through our advisory councils. Each of our career tech teachers has an advisory council, which is usually folks from business and industry and education, such as Motlow or the career tech schools. And they work together with our career tech teachers to try to decide kind of see the future, what's coming, what do we need ahead of time, what do we need to know ahead of time so that we can prepare students for that. So that's one way that community members and industry and business can be involved with CTE, is to be part of those advisory committees. We have a meeting usually once in the fall and once in the spring. And then we also get data from the state, and I am so new at this that I don't really have that data in my head, but we do. What we do is data driven, in that we get information from the state on career types, job openings, and so we kind of feed all that in together, and as a department and with district and local administration, try to decide what's coming and what we can help prepare students for, so that they're ready to go out into the workforce right away.
Yeah, that's, well, I'm not sure we mentioned that earlier. Going out into the workforce right away, maybe we could drop back and touch on that a bit, and that is preparing the students who may not really have a very good understanding of what it means to be in the workplace, teach them the basic requirements. Talk a little about that.
The best or a good example of that is our certified nursing assistant program. We have a health education program that Shannon Titus teaches, and we had 7 newly certified nurse assistants by the end of last year. So Shannon actually goes out to the nursing home where those nursing assistants are working and is on the job with them as well as in the classroom with them. Valerie Robinson, who is our work-based learning teacher, goes out into the workplace where the students are doing their work-based learning and talks to those employers and tries to problem solve with those employers if they're, if the student isn't showing up or if, something like that.
You're talking about pretty basic stuff, though.
Right,
Showing up on time, working all day, having a good attitude toward the job.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So we try to build that into our internships and our work-based learning so that there's at least a semester there where the student is not just out there working, but their teacher is checking on them and saying, okay, is this student showing up every day? Are they showing up on time? They're calling in sick all the time. Then that's a problem area.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we were talking about researching future needs. And you're saying, I guess, that you're advisory council, and how large is an advisory council? What are you talking about? 4 or 5, half a dozen?
4 or 5, right. I mean, in each individual program's advisory council is just going to be 3 or 4 people, but we try to get together a larger group of 6 or 7 community representatives, and then a couple from higher ed on our committee. So a total of 10 or so, plus our teachers and myself.
All right. Okay. All right, and let's talk some, and excuse me, the involvement you currently have with the industry folks has got to be a big part of it, but you're researching future needs. That's just something you're really interested in and beginning to get started in, and I'm wondering, how far out do you plan to reach? You gonna try to guess what's needed 2 years from now, or next year, or what?
Well, I mean, we try to see into the future a few more, a little past next year in the coming year or two. Part of it also, there's also a part of the equation in that we need instructors. So we can't say, we need a automobile technology program. Just out of nowhere. We'd have to have an instructor to come in and do that, and we hire instructors from industry typically. So a math teacher goes through a college math program, education and math combined, so they would graduate with an education degree. In CTE programs, we often hire directly from industry. So if we have somebody
for your instructors,
as our instructors,
teachers?
Right. So we would be looking for folks who are fired up about what they do, machining or welding or auto tech, but also are willing to come into the classroom and learn how to translate that into a mentoring students situation. So
you got this maybe a little bit ahead of you, but do you have a feel for whether we've got jobs in Coffee County now that we don't have good candidates to fill?
I'm still making contacts, and I hope to get to know more and more people. But the personnel folks and the plant managers that I've talked to definitely have openings, and I follow several local industries on Twitter, and I'm constantly retweeting their job openings. There's a lot of work in industry that's going unfilled at the moment, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I know there's been quite a complaint the last few years as things get more technical, that they have a hard time finding people to fill the jobs. We just haven't been turning out the trained folks. So, okay, and as we've really touched on, that's a major part of your the relationship you're trying to build between your training programs and the industry out there.
And the other component is the home. The family also is obviously the main training ground for if students show up to school every day and they're on time and they don't skip classes. That's a good sign that they're going to be a good employer or employee. So we work with families all the time to try to make sure that they know the requirements of attendance and that they know what's required for dress code and all of that. And that's not just because we want school to go well. That's also aimed toward their future. If they can show up to school every day, they can probably show up to work every day.
At the job, yeah. If they don't, it won't last long. Okay. Well, guess what? We've run out of time, Shari. So we're going to have to take a short commercial break, folks, and wrap up.
Russell's got your truck, man. Russell's got your truck.
Keith Barnett here at the Russell Barnett Automotive family, and we have sold so many new trucks. We've got over 100 pre-owned trucks to choose from. Any make, any size, any model. It's as easy as going to russellbarnett.com to check out our pre-owned truck inventory. And remember, why buy your next truck anywhere else?
With the best selection anywhere, Russell's got your truck, man.
Cool off at Southern Middle Tennessee's newest water park, Tullahoma's Splash Island. Fun for all ages. 3 25-foot water slides, lazy river, fun water features for toddlers, tasty food items available. All this and more, only $5 from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. or 4 to 9 p.m. Sundays, 1 to 6. Join the fun at Tullahoma's Splash Island.
We've been talking today, folks, with Dr. Shari Zimmerman, who is the newly appointed Director of Career Technical Education at Tullahoma High. And her job is to prepare youngsters to go directly into the workforce. Dr. Zimmerman, do you have a message you'd like to leave to somebody? Anybody?
I would love for parents and community members to know what programs that we have to offer, because making decisions about your high school program really starts in the 8th grade, 7th and 8th grade. And we work closely with the middle schools in the spring to try to get students prepared to come into high school and know how they would like to focus their high school years.
They need to know what's up there.
They need to know what's there. And then they need to kind of have some conversations about aptitude and interest.
What they're interested in.
Right.
What they would like to do.
Exactly. And what kinds of skills they'd like to reinforce. So I think that's probably my biggest message, is I'd love to communicate, to go to those parent meetings and communicate to parents what's available. So when they walk into high school, they know how to design an excellent program for their student.
And you're talking about 7th and 8th graders.
Right, right.
Beginning that, yeah.
Getting ready for 9th grade.
Okay. Well, as I mentioned earlier, folks, we tend to think of Tullahoma High as being primarily there to prepare students for college, but we have had for some time, it doesn't get much attention, the technical program to prepare students also, those that don't have a desire or need to go into college, prepare them to go directly into the workplace. So that's a very needed aspect of the school system. I'm glad to be able to bring you a little more information about that, and they can use your help. So, Dr. Zimmerman, thanks for taking time to join us. Thank you, folks, for inviting us into your parlor, and we'll see you next time.